a senior in college, but for the last 4 years, New York City has been my campus. Because of that, I have a lot of interesting stories to tell, like the time I lost a dog while dog walking. Forgot to do that.
I really wanted to ask you, what made you say yes?
I think it was just, I'm trying to get better at being on podcasts, and you seem very nice, and the questions were all like, it wasn't anything crazy, so I was like, all right, I'll do it, it seems fun, and I'm usually an optimistic yes man kind of person, so it was like a combination of things.
Right. Thank you for saying that. Well, I'm glad to have you here, and let's get started. I know you did a stand-up this week. How did that show go for you?
It was all right. So I haven't done it in 3 years or so. I went and it was cool. I did pretty well. I would say I got like 2 to 3 genuine laughs in like a 4-minute set, which isn't great, but for, not doing it in a while, it was okay. I think because I like have like a somewhat big TikTok following and I've like been putting videos online a lot, I do think I was more comfortable on stage than I was expecting to be. So, okay, is how I would say it went.
I feel like it takes a different level of confidence to do stand-up because it's so much like audience reaction centric, So how is the feeling for you? Is it something that makes you feel really alive, or is it something that's really nerve-wracking for you?
It's very fun. I enjoy it a lot. I would say the only reason I kind of stopped was because like you have to travel there and then you have to wait a bunch of time to watch somebody else or a bunch of people do stand up before you get to go up. But the actual process of being on the stage and making people laugh is very fun. Just, I guess I kind of was discouraged by all the other stuff, if that makes sense. And then which made me think, like, do I really love this as much as I think I do? Yeah. Or I thought I would? Yeah. I don't know. So, but suffice it to say, I very much enjoyed it on Thursday when I went.
Awesome. And I know you're super talented. Like, the more I was researching about you, I saw that you have, your feet under so many different things. So I wanted to know how do you view talent? I know you taught yourself piano and guitar, and your comedic skits are really amazing. But how do you view talent? Do you think it's something that you teach yourself, like you cultivate talent, or is it something that you're born with?
That's a great question. I would say, it depends, right? Like, I guess, yeah, I would say there's a little bit of an innate creative, like just your brain wiring might give you some level of, like, for example, I love the Beatles, right? And I think, like, there was an interview where Paul McCartney was saying that, he'd be struggling with a song and John Lennon could just come up with something right on the spot, whereas Paul seemed a little more like he would treat songwriting like, doing a Sudoku puzzle and like trial and error. So I think there's like different kinds of talent. There's like that innate ability to just make something. And then there's the talent that is like comes from, curiosity and just learning the craft and the actual science behind the thing. So I would say it's a tough question, but there's all different kinds, and I think it's kind of like a mix. Does that make sense?
Yes. Talk about your comedic style. I know, like, you taught yourself, so that was obviously you were not born with, like great piano skills. But your comedy style is something I feel like everyone can't be funny and entertaining. It's something that is something inside of you that you hone over a period of time for sure.
I remember when I was real young, I used to make kids laugh very easily, and I wish it was still that easy because it was like we're just being in classrooms and being like saying random words. It would kill because we're kids. Yeah. But I also think like, well, my dad is super funny. So I grew up around him, showing me what being subject to somebody that's funny. And also he like let me watch Family Guy like from like a very young age. Like I'm pretty sure like 3rd grade I was watching Family Guy, and I know some people wouldn't do that for their kids, but I think that is like a huge reason I have like a humorous ability, is just because like from such a young age I was exposed to especially a show where there's joke after joke after joke. I think maybe it kind of was just like my brain developed with Family Guy, and I was like, okay, now I know what humor is. Maybe, but it's for sure a combination of stuff like that.
Do you brainstorm your videos a lot before creating them, or is there something that sparks up and you go ahead and you try and execute it? How does that process look like for you to create your viral TikTok videos?
It depends, right? So like there's the one I made with like the dog.
My dog's been lonely, so I made her a dating profile. and she was catfished by a dog named Sean.
I made my dog a dating profile.
Yeah.
That was me sitting in this chair, like, dogs, Tinder. Because I actually, for that one, I knew I wanted to do something with Cameo, where it's like you could pay a celebrity to say something, right? So
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I could probably catfish somebody with like a Lindsay Lohan cameo. Like, I'll like make them think that I'm messaging them as Lindsay Lohan, and then they'll be like, well, send me a video, and then I'll pay Lindsay Lohan to say something. So that was like the original idea. And then I was like, oh, well, I can't do that because it's going to take too long and I have to spend $200. I was like, oh, what if I made my dog a dating profile? And then I know, like, okay, well, if I made my dog a dating profile, what does the end have to be? Well, she has to get catfish just because that's like the most humorous ending. And then you kind of stitch it together from there. So yeah, that's like a brainstorm. Other times, like sometimes it's been me just talking to the camera and then I'll kind of say something where I'm like, oh, that's funny. And then I'll kind of like run with that. A lot of times it's like beat sheeting it out on my notes. And then like coming back to it later, because I'll also have ideas where I'm like the next day I'll be like, oh, this actually isn't good. When you let it incubate, maybe you come up with something else and then you combine the two ideas, then it becomes much better. And I'm still figuring it out, you know what I mean? Like it's always different, and like I'll try and recreate the way I made a viral video and it won't work nearly as well as just being inspired in the moment. Because like sometimes I'll just be driving or I'll be walking or something and then I'll think of some funny nugget of an idea and then I just run through it in my head and I'm just, it's almost like daydreaming. It's like if you were ever like sitting in a classroom and you like think about when like, oh, if that kid started choking, I'd like save him, and then all these kids would think I'm awesome. Like it's just that sort of mentality where you just run through a situation in your head and then make it come to life. That's that was a very long-winded way of going about it, but
it makes a lot of sense. And I feel like obviously you went to school for film, but I feel like it's not just the idea, but your creative execution is brilliant, you know. It's like the timing and the cuts, and I know it's just a 30-second video, but it takes hours and hours and hours to edit. Do you like that process of, you know, putting it all together? I know it's very copious.
Yes. Yeah, I do. Sometimes if I have to edit something that I filmed on my camera and it's like a lot longer, then I really dread it. But when it is TikTok, if I like the idea, then I love every moment of it. And it's like fun to watch it come together. I'll still procrastinate a little bit, but it's when I have to like make videos that, you know, like for work, I make TikToks. And while I'm, you know, I love everybody there. I'm super grateful for the support they give me. Like, you know, there's times where I'm like, oh, I don't feel like making this TikTok about like a video game that just came out or something. Like that sort of stuff is where I'm like, I dread the creative process. But yeah, the stuff I think of and, you know, think is funny, that's always enjoyable.
What would your editing time look like for a 30-second video in real life?
You know, surprisingly, not as long as you'd think, or I guess maybe it would be as short as you think because it is 30 seconds. But like the prisoner videos I did, which I think are the most like snappiest editing wise that I've made, I would say took like an hour maybe. It's usually just kind of, I don't know, I just kind of get an intuition for how it should look, and then I just kind of chop it up, and usually it's pretty quick. I would say the longest one, even the dog one, that took like maybe 40 minutes. Mail Order Bride, that one was a little longer just because I had a ton of footage to like sift through and like format. The formatting for TikTok is like the longest part, but the actual edit it's like telling a story, you know? You don't have to like really think about telling the story. It kind of just comes out of you. You're like, yep, and then I went to the store and then this guy came up to me and, you know, blah, you just kind of know all the key details, and so that stuff's easy. It's just like the formatting when you have to make it look pretty.
Right. Well, I just want to say they're so effortlessly funny. I know you put in so much work into it. They're just so easy to consume and really fun to watch. And
thank you. They're not. I was just gonna say they're not always easy to come up with. I have many times where I'm just sitting here like, oh, I don't know what to make. Like I have one idea that I might make, might not, and then I'll just sit around for a week and be like, okay, waiting to be hit with some sort of idea. But I do appreciate the love very much so.
No, at all. And on that note, I want to ask you. So, what got you into filmmaking? And were you more inclined towards the acting side, or were you more inclined towards, you know, the videography and directing side of things?
Right. I don't know. So, like, when I was real young, I remember one time I had, like, my parents brought me to audition for some commercial, and I got a call back, but they called me back when I was, like, in the hospital getting my tonsils removed. And I remember from, like, since that day, though, I was, like, always, when I was young, daydreamed of being famous. And maybe, like, it started with acting, but then when I got into like 8th grade, I did start to enjoy movies and like imagining them in my head. But then I started really enjoying stand-up because I was always like a funny person. So I would say, and then I went to NYU film school. Like I went to visit and I was like, oh, this place is sick. And so that kind of cemented in my brain the idea that I wanted to do that. But it's weird, right? Like I still, even today, I don't know what I want to do exactly. Like I also, like you were saying, I, play piano. I've only been learning for like the past 4 years, but part of me wants to one day try and make some sort of music that people would like. So I may wear too many hats. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But it's just a curiosity around everything. And I think that's kind of, I don't really know when the impetus to want to make movies or what have you really happened, but it's always been in my mind. It might come from that daydream of being famous. Maybe it's a superficial desire all this time, but I don't think so. I think it's just liking making stuff and a general curiosity.
Well, I feel like that's so cool because I know you're Gary's disciple, and he always says that, you're super young too, and you do not have to figure anything out. I feel like what's important is like you're constantly in motion, you're constantly learning, you're trying, you're reading, you're making. All this process, you're developing yourself, and when the opportunity comes or when you're in the right place, you've always been prepared because all these different hats you're wearing will prepare you for the right moment and opportunity. So I think you're pretty good to go.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's just like if you kind of learn a little bit of everything, like over time, you'll just get sick. You'll get really good at all of it. So the other thing is like if you're just enjoying those things, you don't really have to be great at them, So I think it just comes out to be curiosity as well. I forget who said something about like art is better when you're curious or something, but I think that's really what it is too. It's just like, oh, I wonder what would happen if I did this, or like how I was saying, when I come up with ideas, it's often daydreaming like some scenario and being like, oh, that's funny, I should make that. It's just like a curiosity of like, oh, what would happen, So I think it's like that too.
Yes. On that note, I want to ask you, what's your story as a person, when you were born to today? How would you describe yourself and your narrative?
Sure. Well, I was born in Jersey, Bricktown to be exact, 20 minutes from where they filmed the Jersey Shore. I don't know if you're a fan, but I'm there. And went to normal schools. Let's see, what did I do? I like normal life growing up. Going to high school, I did mock trial. I wrestled. I boxed a little. I was not good at wrestling, but I wrestled. What else did I? Oh, I said mock trial. I was president of my high school, and then
so cool.
there, yeah, it was SGA, so it wasn't like it wasn't like the school voted. It was like a bunch of teachers, I guess, but still kind of cool.
That's even better.
And,
you were in the good books of the teacher.
Which also was like a weird. It was just like, okay, now we're gonna decorate doors today, or like it was like the weirdest. It wasn't like important decisions whatsoever.
Wait, weren't you following like policies and stuff for your fellow students, like better cafeteria food or something?
No, it was like, all right, we're going to do homecoming. Should we, I don't even remember. I was like, should we get Finn's, a food place, or should we get Taco Bell? It's like, I don't know. Like, but it was I wielded that title to get me. What's that?
Those were important decisions, by the way, not to take them lightly.
Yeah, you're right. I went with Taco Bell. No, I think it was Chipotle. But then I went to NYU, went there for 4 years. Ended up working for Scott Rudin for like 5 months. I don't know if you know who that is. He's like a film producer. You can look into him all you want. And then, I'll just move on from that. And now I work for Gary. 1:37 p.m. It's like a media company that's basically striving to be, in the same vein as like Barstool Sports, with a little more like empathy and stuff like that. But pretty normal childhood. I've been to a lot of funerals when I was a kid. I don't know if that accounts for anything, but other than that...
That reminds me of your first stand-up comedy show that I watched, and your joke on funerals.
Oh, that's funny that you watched that. Oh my God, that was my first time doing it. But yes, that is true. I did go to a lot of funerals growing up. I don't tell people that very often. I mean, even though you just have heard me say it twice now, it is true. So, but that's like my, pretty simple life, middle class. Nothing too crazy going on. No crazy life stories.
I see. You said you went to a lot of funerals as a child. So, do you feel like that's changed who you are and who you've grown up to become as a person today?
Maybe, right? Like, I'm not really sure. Like, I'm not sure how much my life experience changes me, or it's just DNA. But like, I did go to a lot as like a young kid, and I do remember like being, I guess it would have been 4th grade. like, just like, I remember looking at like the open casket and being like, holy shit, that's a dead body. That was once a person. And being like, I remember like having deep thoughts as a kid about what does that mean, you know? And so I think that maybe it like, if your brain is developing at that age and I'm like thinking that deeply, it's kind of like, it's like chiseling out even more of a capacity to think that deep for later. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not really sure how the brain works, but I would say that, yeah, it definitely developed me in some way. Because I did go to a lot. My dad was like a very likable person. I guess that's why we ended up going to a lot of funerals. But it just became like second nature to be like, all right, we're about to go walk in this building and there will be a body there. And like, yeah.
I can
see, you can see why I wanted to come on your podcast. I'm trying to get better at podcasts. Like, people ask me questions and I just like go on this epic rant.
Please, this is exactly how it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be super scripted and precise. You know, this is who you are. It's like
Okay.
having a normal conversation. The more authentic you are, that's the better of the podcast. That's it, you know.
Okay, good. I like how Mona Lisa is like, she keeps
Sorry.
coming into the frame. Like, I don't know what's real. Like, if your background right now is
So,
real
no,
or Mona
this
Lisa.
is like a virtual background. I did not want you to get distracted by Mona Lisa, but that's not working out. So.
No, it's cool though. It's just like it's like it looked like a ghost at first, but now I know.
Please don't get scared. So, not to dive into that question, but I think it's interesting is I was recently reading about death because a lot of people recently were experiencing more than ever because of COVID. And I feel like just as a society, death is something we probably don't talk about, you know, until it's something that you have to deal with. But it's said that, you know, once we actually do build up the courage to talk about death because it's inevitable to everyone, life itself becomes more meaningful, you know. You don't look at death as like defeat or I lost, or you don't look at it as like a bad thing. But that perspective heals you. Obviously, nothing can take away from the grief when you lose someone close to you. But at the same time, so what would you think is your perspective on it? Instead of like escaping it and being scared of it, especially even to children, like you experienced it when you were really young, do you think it's something like you would not want to talk to your kids about, or is something that you would want to have like a genuine conversation with them so that they're prepared?
That's a good question. I don't know. Like, I remember in like a Spanish class in like, I think high school, we learned about like some Spanish culture. I don't remember where it was, but like they basically throw a party when somebody died. And I remember thinking like, damn, I almost wish that I grew up with that just because maybe I'd be less afraid of it. But, I think, yeah, I mean, you should talk about it. I think it's like, it makes life more interesting and fun when you're like, it's like this giant puzzle that we'll never figure out most likely, which is like, ooh, what happens and what is the meaning of life and all that stuff. And
Right.
yeah, I think it's important that kids like learn about that early just because I think it probably makes them more empathetic to like other people and like the nature of things not being forever and stuff like that. I think it's an important lesson. And like I said, like if they're thinking that deeply and that realistically about the world at such a young age, I think it will like be for the better when they're older, because they'll, like I said, they're kind of like if you spend your whole life learning to golf or even play piano, when you grow up to be an adult, like you're just really good at it. Like it's a muscle memory. And so I'm sure if you like teach them to think about stuff like that at such a young age, when they grow up, they'll be like more prepared to talk about it and to think deeply about it. So yes, I will talk to my kids about death, I think.
Right. I love that you said that it'll make you more empathetic because you feel like you'll stop separating, or you'll be able to transcend differences between you and the other person, you know, because you're like, both of us are gonna die tomorrow, you know, so there should not be so many restrictions and reasonings to, you know, feel like we're so different from each other. So, and do you think, so from my perspective, I feel like death talks about like the continuity of life, you know, like you're reborn and stuff. So do you believe in things like that?
Yeah, like, so my mom came in my room the other day and she was like, why don't you believe in God? And she like cornered me into like I was like, all right, like I'll tell you, it's not that I don't believe in any of that stuff, but like in my mind, it's like there is an infinite amount of possibilities of what it could be. Like it could be, I take off a virtual reality helmet, or Jesus is real, or Buddha, whatever Buddha said is real, or like whatever Jewish people believe is real. But even that those are the things we know people believe.
Right.
Then there's like stuff that people never said it would be. Like maybe you die and I don't know, maybe you reincarnate into your offspring only. So I'll reincarnate into my kids or something. So basically what I'm saying is I have no idea. And so I'm not one to like take a guess. Although if I had to take a guess, okay, here's what I would say. That everything that is living, I feel like, I don't know what religion it is, but like there's like the world soul. I feel like we all share one soul. That makes the most sense to me. Like I'm you, you're me. We're both the tree that's outside my window. Because people believe in reincarnation and like that makes sense to me. It's like, all right, that makes sense. Like, but if you're going to tell me, I was a Native American woman in my past life, that's so different from what I am now that, like, you might as well just tell me that I'm all living things. That makes more sense to me. But I have no definitive belief.
Right. That makes sense. Just to not be on this topic for so long, I want to talk about one thing is how I understood it was like if you're all energies, like the smallest particle, an organ is made up of an atom is made of energy, and energy can neither be created nor destroyed, so it just takes another form. So I feel like you take another form, and like I read about Buddhism, that is the perspective that made a lot of sense to me, that not like you've always existed, but your energy of whatever it is, like you said, all of us are one. So it talks about like if you are a microcosm and the universe is a macrocosm, and you merge and then you rebirth, and like energy can neither be created nor destroyed. So when I thought of it like that, then the continuity of life made sense. Like if someone passes away, that means they're probably on to the next chapter of a different life.
Yeah, I hope that to be the case. I remember when I was very young, I was like, the one thing about death that scared me was like, oh, is it just darkness forever? I mean, people would say like, oh yeah, but you'll be dead, so you won't, it's not like it's darkness, it's just nothing. I'm like, yeah, but that's still scary to me. Like it's just over. Like, I don't know. I'm just hoping it's not that.
I believe so. But it's not that. I feel like, and then they talk about karma in terms of like how you in this life today, like how does it make sense? Why do you have two arms, and why is someone in Africa and they have no arms? It's just like a crazy topic. Is because of the life you lived previously, you came with a certain cards. This is the life you're dealing, and now what you do here in the next life, you'll be dealt with those cards. So when I was reading about that, a lot of things started connecting. Like everything makes sense in that respect.
So like, let me make sure I understand it more clearly. So like, if you're given a good life now, you have a less of a, like, you have different cards in the next life. Is that what you're saying? Like it's like a
in terms of what you did, what you would do in the past, this is manifesting in the present. What you do now is going to manifest in the future. Just like in the short term, you try to cheat someone and you're going to get the repercussions pretty soon, but you might not see it immediately. But in the course of your life, if you just stay to be perpetually a terrible person, but you're super rich, super famous, but just a shitty person, and you start questioning, what is life? This is so unfair. But you really don't know how the cards play out, Probably when they're super old, they died really lonely, everyone hates them, no one showed up at their funeral. These are things that you can immediately see. But this is how I can make sense of it, like why me? Why do I have parents? Why is someone who they don't have parents, They just make sense when you look at life from the perspective of the past and the present and the future. This is just something I was reading and the topic came up, and that helped me connect the dots.
That does make sense. Yeah, it's like almost like a karma that's like, there's like the practical karma, which like GaryVee always talks about, but then there is like a potential like spiritual karma too, where it's like, if you're rich and you're a shitty person, but if you manage to escape any sort of repercussions your whole life, maybe in your next life you will be the person with one arm, or like some disadvantaged life.
100%. So that was an interesting topic. Did not think we would dive into that, but I'm really happy that we did.
Yeah, I am too. It's always a good. It's better than the average small talk. So.
Yeah. Okay. To switch up, how was your experience working with GaryVee?
Great. So he, I started in September with him. I was editing TikToks, and it just started like, it's always been from home because of the pandemic. And I would text him once. We met on Zoom, and he was like very nice. He was like, I was like, oh, Gary, just, I'm a big fan. And he was like, that's great. Like, it's usually the people that are big fans of me or the people that don't know me at all that are the most fun to work with. I was like, okay. edited TikToks for him. He'd always be like, oh, I love this idea. This is creative, blah, blah, blah. Very busy guy.
Yeah.
And then around November, or actually October, I went to California for my birthday. So yeah, right around...
When was your birthday?
What's that?
When was your birthday?
October 24th.
Oh, happy belated birthday. It's been months.
Thanks. So, yeah, and then I came back and I was like, I don't want to edit Gary's TikToks anymore. And so basically I put in my 2 weeks with the main boss.
Yes.
And then Gary texted me and said, like, oh, I have a great idea for you. And I was like, oh, okay, like, what's up? And he was like, oh, I want you to move to 1:37 p.m. because you're so creative, blah, blah, blah. Like, I want you to grow them. I was like, oh, are you saying this because I just quit? And he was like, oh, no, I didn't know you just quit. I was like, yeah, like, I want to do my own thing pretty much. And he was like, well, that's great. Like, our minds are both in the same place. Like, and basically, he has just been nothing but kind. And, like, he's very much the guy you see in the videos.
Yes.
I don't get to talk to him as much as I wish I could, but that's just because he's, like, every day is booked up minute by minute. But when I do speak with him, he's, like, super nice, like, grateful towards any sort of creative stuff I've done for 1:37 p.m. But intense too, and knows, and he's got like that very good foresight. Actually, Tyler is like one of Gary's right hand guys. He's and my boss currently, he's very nice and cool dude. A lot like Gary, and like he's got great foresight. And basically, I feel like once you work for Gary a long time, like you kind of understand his mindset so much that you can apply it to life in a very practical way. And so he's just everything you see in the videos and more.
That's a really good description. I've actually had a couple of people from his company come on my podcast because I remember anything he would say, I would just write it down, start making notes and stuff. And he said he had this meeting with his interns, and he said the biggest advantage you're going to have interning here is networking with everyone around you. But I was like, I'm not there, so what do I do? And I started calling people up on my podcast and networking with them. And this is just how they exhibited a different kind of confidence and happiness in their workplace. And I knew that he's just so much more than what we were able to witness on video. So I'm super happy to hear your experience about that. And it was surreal that Gary was someone you dreamed of and you ended up working for him. Sorry to cut you off.
No, that's okay. Yeah, he was. I saw him like on Hot Ones first, and I remember being like, I liked him, but I didn't, because I was like, oh, like he gives me like that anxiety around the fact that it's like, oh, I can go do it myself. But watched him more and more, and I was like, yeah, I really enjoy this guy. Yeah. And then when I was leaving Scott Rudin, I was like desperately looking for a new job. I applied there like a bunch of times, and definitely like, yeah, I've even had dreams about working for Gary and never actually making it happen. And then sure enough, I got it. And it's funny how it ended up not being as great as I thought, just because I didn't want to sit in my room and edit TikToks of Gary, because he inspires me to do my own thing. And it's like, I love Gary because he makes me want to pursue my dreams, not because I like editing his videos, But, I forgot what I was going to say earlier. You said the people... I forget. It's okay. But that's basically what I can say about my dreaming of working with Gary. And it's still surreal. I mean, he FaceTimed me one time. And I was like, this is so weird. Like, GaryVee is FaceTiming me. But then it's kind of like, too, there's a Curb Your Enthusiasm episode where Larry David is, like, standing in this office in front of a secretary. And behind her is this amazing view of the city. And he asks her, like, oh, how long did it take you to get over that view? And she's like, like 20 minutes. And he's like, yeah, I'm over it pretty much. And I think that's kind of what it's like being around celebrity and stuff like this. Even though I love Gary still and think he's awesome, like you kind of get used to the fact that I think it's like they call it like the hedonistic treadmill. Like even if I won $1 billion tomorrow, you get used to it, and then you find your new goalpost.
Yeah, I actually, so because of the pandemic, a lot of companies had started hiring remotely. So I just threw in my application for VaynerMedia for the creator role, and I got in the first round, and I got an assignment and stuff. I did it, but got rejected after the first round very quickly. Is because I was not a creator, like I really am not talented with things like that. I would hardly know how to get text here and there and add music at places and stuff. But I feel like Gary's editing is a little bit of Avengers level editing, like even though it looks simple, but you have people who are really talented and know the softwares in and out, who are on the team. And
Well, I wouldn't want to discourage you. Like, definitely don't ever be afraid to apply again, because they're also like, I applied a bunch of times. It took them like a year to like finally hire me after enjoying my application. But
you're
I
actually
will admit, yeah,
talented.
the editors, like, it's hard to find people that are good at editing TikTok, because most people, if you can, like you said, the Avengers editing, if you could do that, you're going to be doing it for yourself or in the Avengers. You know what I mean? So.
Right.
It is difficult to find people that can do that, but don't be discouraged. Try again if you want. Like, I'm sure that you're creative. Don't discredit yourself.
One other thing I wanna tell you is I also have like the question is also along the same line, which is how was your experience working with 1:37 p.m. But I also applied to Gallery Media Group. They were looking for a podcast host, and I just applied there. I just was not, because it's a remote thing, so there's just opportunity everywhere, and I just don't know. I'll probably ask for your feedback or advice on how do you think I should go about it, because I know you're super talented, and the biggest thing I struggle with is I feel like I don't bring anything to the table. So I'm like, I'll work hard, I'll bleed from my eyes, but I don't know what I'll do for you. So
Right. Well, I think what you're doing now is great. Like, keep making podcasts with whoever you can, because you're building a following and proving that you can do it through this. I know one of the things I like that Gary had said, which was like the high school party rule, which is like, in high school, if you're not that cool, if you throw the party and have all the cool kids at your house, that like elevates your coolness, I guess. So keep doing what you're doing. And I guess like study Gallery Media Group, like what they already have, and just kind of say, okay, how can I make a podcast better than what they have? Maybe like it's tough, right? Like I know that Gary, if you asked him that same question, he'd have some amazing. He'd be like, "You do this." Me, I'm more like, I'm not sure. I think it's just keep doing what you're doing, proving that you can be interesting on podcasts, you can ask the right questions, and I think then people will come to you, and maybe one day you'll be like, you won't even want somebody else to hire you. Maybe you'll just be able to do it on your own. And don't underestimate, although I was looking at your Instagram, it looks like you don't underestimate it, but the like micro content. So you record this, it's like an hour. Yeah. Make sure you edit the best segments, put that on YouTube, make some sort of clickbait title. Just learn the science of the different social media platforms, and I think that you will prevail.
Thank you for saying that. I really appreciate it. And on that note, I wanted to ask you, how has your experience been working at 1:37 p.m.? Did you get a chance to speak with, I'm sure it's a different culture than Vayner, pretty similar actually, but you have Ryan as your CEO now. So how has it been now?
It's good. Like, because it's remote, like it's a little, there's still a community that's very strong, through Slack, and we'll still, they're supportive as much as they can be, but it is a little different because I sometimes find myself waking up and like there's my bed and I sit here and I'm like, okay, TikTok. So yeah. So, but they're still like super supportive. Like Tyler, my main boss, who I love to death, is like, he's like, make whatever you want to make. Like we totally trust whatever you want to do. So it's very supportive and very cool. And the only, like, sometimes I wonder, should I just be going full force at YouTube on my own? But I don't think so. Like, they've supplied me so much, like, love and just, like, community and, like, even connections through people I would have never met if not for them. Right. So it's a cool experience. I would say it's different than VaynerMedia, only in that, at VaynerMedia, for me at least, I was on Team Gary. So it's like, how do we make Gary go viral? Yes. And now it's kind of like, how do we go viral? Which is, like, a better...
You've more ownership and more control, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Because it's like Gary was like an actor 24/7 in my brain, and now it's like, okay, anybody can be the actor,
Yes. That makes a lot of difference for a creative person. And how do you think you get your energy from? Do you get your energy from working with a lot of people? Like, how do you get your creative juices? Or are you more of a person who puts a head down, likes to work alone and likes to create alone?
I like to make things alone, but sometimes I get lonely, and then in the morning, that's when I like have my most creative juices going, and I like to just sit and think. But sometimes I do have like that social, like I get that second win through another person, like especially my best friend Damien. Like if you could get the ball rolling, then it's like the daydream thing I was talking about. Somebody will daydream with you, and then it's like, oh, I didn't think of that, and then you think about something on top of that, and it rolls the ball. But I do tend to find that I am better at solo creation. And then I lose energy too. Like sometimes I smoke weed to get a second wind because I'll be like, I'll drink a bunch of coffee and then I'll get tired and then it's like, oh, I'd rather just nap or watch YouTube. But
Yeah.
it's tough. That's what sucks about being a creative and like having a job for it with it now is like, hey, Sean, why haven't you been making anything? It's like, because I'm like not very inspired at the moment. That's the hardest part. And that's how I don't know. Like I've seen some TikTokers that do a TikTok a day. They got like 10 million followers. I'm like, how do you stay that on the ball? I don't know. But basically, that was the long way of saying I get my energy through the morning shift of my mind and just making myself laugh.
Thanks for that. I appreciate it, because it can look something really easy, like, oh my god, this guy makes funny videos for a living and stuff, but it's actually like a lot of work and it's a lot of pressure, and creativity and talent is something you want it to naturally come, but when it's your job, there's a pressure that comes with it, and that actually, on the contrary, can kind of take your creativity away, and make you kind of resent it sometimes, something you actually love.
Of course. Totally. Yeah, and you just like wish that, I don't know, like I'm just like some days I just want to. Well, there's two things, right? There's like, okay, now I'm creating for a company and it becomes harder because sometimes my humor is like Family Guy or South Park. And it's like, well, even though they said I could do whatever I want, like it's kind of hard to like make a joke about terminally ill kids on like some company's TikTok. But then other times, or like then sometimes I have to do sponsored videos and those like take my soul out of my body because it's like,
Damn. Yeah.
I guess I won't say the actual brand, but it's like something along the lines of like, hey, come to Seattle and hang out in Seattle, even though I've never been there. And so it's but I don't mean to sound ungrateful. I love doing it. It's still challenging.
Of course. There's this question that we ask everyone on the podcast is, are you happy?
Am I happy? It ebb and flows. I think like yesterday, past few days, I've been feeling very happy. But there is like an underlying anxiety around like, okay, I'm still not where I want to be creatively. And it's like, I'm sure if I took a bunch of mushrooms, I'd be like, who gives a shit? Like, just live and look at the trees and stuff like that. But I would say, yes, I'm happy, but I'm not content. That's what I would say. And some days I'm sad. But I think that's because I'm not content. And there's like a natural, when you're hungry for something, like your mind is like, okay, well, you can't be happy all the time or you'll just sit here and do nothing. So a healthy ebb and flow, but overall, yes, I am happy.
I'm happy to hear that. And I think it's very okay to feel sad and have those moments, because that just says that I think it's also okay to not be content, because that always keeps you improving and wanting for more and growing and push yourselves. I feel like when you feel the pain of not feeling like yourself, like I can do more, that's when you actually are able to get even greater things out of yourself that you would not otherwise have. So, But at the same time, it's important to remind yourself to love yourself and be grateful for everything you have done and have become, and just strike a great balance of that, like I'm everything and I'm nothing, and then just go hard at life.
There's like a quote from Hamlet. It's like, it's on my wall. I forget. It's over there, though. It's like something along the lines of like, what is a person if their chief good of time is to eat and feed, or to sleep and feed? Like, you're nothing but a beast.
Yeah.
And then basically it's like the person who created us didn't give us the ability to like think just so it would fuss in us unused. So basically like the quote is like,
I
God
understood
didn't
the first half.
Yeah, you get it, right? Like it's like, he didn't give us the quote, or he didn't give us the ability to think and make stuff just to sit around and watch Netflix and eat food.
Yeah.
So that's what I try and think about a lot as well. It helps.
And when you're not having super happy days, how do you have like some recovering routines? Like do a face mask or some fun thing like that?
I'm a weed smoker. That helps. Though I wish I did it less, just because I don't want it to be a crutch of like, oh, I'm sad, I need to smoke. That's one way. Caffeine helps. What else helps? Let me think of something that's not a drug. Petting my dog.
Oh yeah.
What?
Friends?
Friends help. Friends do help. But sometimes, they're not, well, I do have a lot of friends, but when they're busy and then it's like the perfect storm of like, they're busy, I'm sad, and I'm out of weed, then it's like, go for a walk, listen to music.
What are your top 5 artists?
Okay, I know this easy. Hold on. I would say like John Lennon, Matt Stone and Trey Parker, creators of South Park, if you know them. Yep. Okay. Louis C.K. stand-up is very great, and his show is really good. He's like one of the reasons I went to film school. Damn, who else? I like Shakespeare. I took a Shakespeare class in school. I read a bunch of Shakespeare. I really enjoyed Shakespeare, but there was a lot I didn't understand in it because he's a tough read, but I remember very much enjoying him. So him, and that's 4, I think.
I read that you wrote 18 Shakespeare plays or something like that. Is that true?
Wait, how many did I read? I have the book. Hold on. Now you got me wondering. Wait, how did you know that?
I stalked your LinkedIn.
I read 18. Yeah, let me see. Where is this book? Here it is.
I hope you're not creeped out from me knowing all this information.
That's pretty good, your research, but I just don't know where the book is. Oh, well, you'll have to take my word for it. I have like this Norton Shakespeare. It's like all the plays, and I read 17 or 18 out of like the 32, I think it is. But if you quiz me on them, I mean, I would do better than most people, but there's so much impact. Like, I read it in such a short period of time, like, I'm sure I forget a lot of it, but I enjoyed it. So, and that was 5 if you count Matt Stone and Trey Parker if you don't count them as 1. But the Beatles, I mean, Paul McCartney, I guess, is up there too. Like, I just love the Beatles, so they're them too. Well, I said John Lennon, but it's tough. Now it's a tough question. I gave you those 4. Later I'm gonna be thinking about people, and I'm gonna be like, I wish I said them, but that's what I'll do for now.
Do you listen to any new person? Like the pop stars, maybe The Weeknd or someone like that?
I do like Mac DeMarco. I don't really. There's no songs by The Weeknd I like, to be honest. I do not like The Weeknd. I like Billie Eilish a little bit sometimes. I like J.I.D. the rapper.
Have you ever listened to Korean music?
I'm not sure I have. Maybe like 1 or 2, like I've definitely heard it in passing or somewhere, but I've never personally chose to listen to it.
Can I recommend you something?
Please, give me some.
I'm gonna share it on your Instagram. I'm sure you've heard of these guys. Their name is BTS, and people like them because they're beautiful. Well, for someone like you who likes literature and who likes classic, BTS's music is based on a lot of amazing books, and I had the amazing opportunity to even buy those books. I'm that kind of fan and read the books. There's a lot of videos on YouTube where you have the English translations, and you would just be amazed at their ability to articulate such simple emotions of sometimes, first of all, not feeling like you're good enough. There's an amazing song on that. Second song it's called 0 O'Clock, which spoke about when you feel like everyone's moving ahead but you are stuck at the same place. So it spoke about how you feel at ease when it's 0 o'clock, which means when it's 12. Like everyone's quiet, you come to your bed, and it's kind of that minute second between ending and beginning. Like the day has ended, relief, but beginning because new hope. And they speak about it in the most amazing fashion, and you're so fascinated by it. So their artists, their lyrics are super literature-centric, so someone who appreciates stuff like that, I feel like you might fall in love with that genre.
I'm going to take your word for it. I believe that they're probably pretty good, because I hear, I've seen that, fandom for them, but I've never really took the time to listen to them. And knowing that the lyrics are also pretty special means that there's more to that. There's more substance than I was expecting. I thought it was just even the Beatles were, thought to be just a boy band at one time. So, right. But that's what I thought of them. I was like, just some boy band that girls are freaking out over. But I have to check them out further.
I'm gonna send you some great stuff, and you can be the judge.
Sweet.
On that note, I want to ask you, what is your dream/ambition?
I am not totally sure. I think I want to, in my ideal world, I have some sort of following where, I could kind of do whatever, it's hard to say, right? Okay, here's why I like Jake Paul. Jake Paul used his YouTube platform to do boxing, and if he keeps winning fights, he will become possibly a respected boxer. Right now he's not, and people would laugh at me for saying that, but I think that it's pretty cool that he did that. And so I think if I could build a following to transition to music, but also maybe do stand-up or have a show of some kind and still pursue comedy, that would be ideal to me, is just kind of being able to wear a bunch of hats like I hope to do and wear them convincingly, if that makes sense. So music, maybe stand-up, maybe a movie. These are ideal, right? I'm not saying they're going to happen. Maybe a movie or maybe some sort of show. That's why I also like Donald Glover, because he's like, comes out with amazing music, but he also did stand-up, but he also wrote for 30 Rock, but he also was on Community. So I'm like, geez, like it is possible to wear a bunch of hats. So so Gary wants to buy the Jets, right? That's his ultimate goal.
Yep.
I want to buy, there's like the Sgt. Pepper piano, which like they wrote A Day in the Life on and a bunch of other Beatles songs.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would want to buy. So that's another thing. That's like another part of my like dream.
Damn. Thanks for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Just so you know, I'm a pretty big Jake Paul fan. Not
Really?
as him as an entertainer, but I studied him as a business person religiously. I feel like people underestimate him in big sense of how a brilliant business person he is. How I remember he raised $1 million when he started the whole Team 10 thing, and he was able to return it before they were even able to use up the money. And I really studied how he used social media and got himself into Disney, got himself to establish this Team 10 company, established like a very foundation thing that you could do anything off of. And I never watched his content to be entertained, but I loved his mind. And in so many videos, he would share his affirmations, and I have the same affirmations up in my bathroom, And he taught me a lot, and he gave me a lot of courage of, I don't need anyone to do anything. And irrespective, people keep hating on you, they don't believe in you. If you just put your head down and work, things will just speak for themselves in the best manner
That's
possible.
so cool. I had not expected you to be a Jake Paul fan, but that is very cool. Like, yeah, I totally agree. Like when I watched him on like Impulsive with his brother, like I'm like, okay, this guy has more depth to him than he portrays. But also like, yeah, I mean, even like 6ix9ine or Logan himself, like these people like come from a place of like super hate. Like everybody, it's like very like the standard is like, okay, yeah, we all hate that person. But they proved that, like for me, like right now, if people hated me like that, I'd be like, oh my God, I would curl up and die. But they like not only persevere through it, Logan manages to, not only get rid of the hate, but turn the same people that did not like him into fans. So yeah, it's a very interesting thing to me. And I'm excited to hear that you like Jake Paul, because I am, people like give me shit. I tweet about being a fan. They're like, dude, like, they're like, why would you like him? I'm like, because you don't see that, like, he's proving you could do whatever you want, even with all those stigmas and the hate and it doesn't matter what people think, blah, blah, blah. Yes, I agree.
I think he's the epitome, and I feel like everyone who likes him is the epitome of being able to see more than the surface level. Everyone can see he's doing shit. Why is he doing it? How can people not acknowledge this 17-year-old kid came to LA, made something out of himself? He was actually the first person, him and Logan, for the first people who actually were able to successfully transition their social media identity to more than just YouTube ad revenue, They were the first people who started pushing out merch when it was something that was actually looked down upon, and they made millions of dollars out of that. And then now everyone does merch, It was something that was looked really down upon, like, oh, you should not want, your followers to spend money on fucking clothes and shit. I think that's just a testament to you that you're able to see beyond what an average person on the surface level can see.
Yeah, and there's just such a good story there. Like, it's like, I don't know, like, why like somebody that's sick right out the gate? Like, I'd rather watch like you watch a movie because you want to watch, like, a bunch of people overcome obstacles. Like, Jake Paul is, like, I could see that he's going to become, hopefully, like, I hope he becomes an amazing boxer, just because I'm like, yeah, I was his fan from the start. I saw him, like, prove you could do that. Like, it's more interesting. The story, there's more there than just some guy that went to a gym and fought really hard and became a great boxer. Like, yeah, there's still a lot of respect in that, but there's something, it's like a reality show. There's something more interesting about Jake's pursuit of it. Like, it's like weird.
Yeah.
I could talk for days.
When he was actually coming to LA and stuff, people might think he's such a dumb kid, but he was talking about building $1 billion company. He was talking about global citizenship. He was talking about, giving power to the youth. And when he had his fight with Ben Askren, the most hilarious thing I found in the press conference was Ben said that he would win based off of Jake is not good enough. And Jake said I would win because he was betting on himself. Ben, imagine betting on someone because he's not good enough, that's why I'll win. Like, you have nothing to bring to the table. But he said, I don't give a fuck if he's a frog or if he's a beast. I know who the fuck I am and I am prepared for anything, and that's why he won. And how can you not fuck with that mindset? Like, that is it.
Like, I get it too. Like, of course, he has the ability to be like a tool or kind of douchey, but whether that's his character just to make people dislike him on purpose or not, I'm still like, it's just cool that somebody can persevere through that hate. And then because you'd watch people like say, oh, Ben is going to destroy him, like, I can't wait, and then he beats Ben. They're making excuses for that.
Yeah.
Down saying, Tyrone Woodley will definitely beat him, and I hope I hope Jake wins, just because then there'll be more excuses, and then eventually it's going to be like, all right, this guy's pretty good. But it's very cool to watch him just prove everybody wrong.
Yeah, man. So I'm so glad I have someone who can hop on this bandwidth with me. And last thing on that, I feel like the reason both of these guys persevered is because they had a bigger vision. A lot of people fall off quickly because they want money, they want short-term success. But these guys always had really big visions that were indestructible when it came to the criticism, when it came to hate. When you want something more than your life, then these things, you accept them as a fact of life. Like, if I am getting really rich and successful quickly, people will hate on me. I empathize with them because they can't comprehend it for themselves. The right person will get inspired by it, and the wrong person will, resent it. So it's not on me, it's on you. And
I mean, even like I've had this experience where if I've had a video go viral recently, I'll look at other comedians' videos and be like, yeah, this is hilarious, this is awesome. But then if I've had a long time go by where I haven't really made anything I'm proud of, then I'll look at comedians' videos and be like, this isn't that funny, this blah, 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 like this kind of... I wouldn't say that to them, but I think it's like...
Thoughts in your head.
It's like you said, like, it's like when you get that success, people will resent you for it because they might not be where they want to be, but the right person will be inspired by it, and that's what matters. Like, I'm inspired by Jake Paul just by the sheer fact that he can do what he wants and doesn't care that people hate on him. I mean, I wondered how much behind the scenes, if he's like a little bit bothered by it, because it's like everything he posts is like all the comments are like, clown, I hate you, but that's also what's making him rich. So
I hope, like, even when you'll catch on that trajectory to become successful, and you might find not very happy people in your comment section. I hope you remember to do it for that one person who's inspired by you and who's looking forward and who's rooting for you and who attaches himself to you. Like, if he can do it, I can do it. And I hope you do it for that person.
Yeah, and I think I'm getting better at it. My YouTube comments, I've been seeing sometimes there'll be hate, but I think I got kind of used to it. I'm like, whatever. It's nothing I haven't heard before. So I think it's just, it's like a muscle you got to build. Yeah. And I will, and I'm still excited by the people that like my stuff or inspired by it. So I think I'm on the right path.
You are, man, I promise. I know you got featured in a book, which is really cool. And that was the first time, I feel like, because you always do like funny videos, short form. We don't really get to see a lot of your personalities if I would dive deep into your content. But with that book, that was the first time you spoke about how as a creator, there are times when you don't want to make anything, where you might get anxiety to always constantly try and one-up yourself, or getting caught up in the numbers and judging yourself based on numbers on how good you are. So talk about that experience.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, if you see yourself as, if you have a dream of being like, Donald Glover or the Beatles or whatever, and you've only made TikToks that have gone viral, like, it's exciting because it's like, okay, it's proof that, like, okay, I think I have some sort of enjoyable personality here that could be turned into something larger, but it's anxiety inducing because it's like almost like a tease. It's like, okay, like, cool, like, you're making your strides towards being a creator, but, like, for example, people come up to me like, oh, you're TikTok famous, it's so cool, bro, you made it. Or I'm like, dude, no, like, I'm still have not scratched the surface of what I want to do. So when you do make videos that don't do well, or you thought would do well, or you just haven't thought of anything funny, like, yes, it can be kind of like, has my reign of TikTok stardom ended here? Like, that's part of it. Or just like the fact that, I was good at TikTok from the beginning because I was just like holding my phone to my face and saying things and making myself laugh, and then I posted, and if it would either go viral or it wouldn't. But now it's like, I have like, 650,000 followers on TikTok. So cool. Now I post something and it's like a bunch of people will see it, and I can't really experiment as much, because then they'll be like, well, this wasn't funny. I'm like, I know, well, I was just trying. So
Yeah.
there's all sorts of stuff that go into it, and I think it's too, like, it's weird how when I first made a TikTok, I got 12,000 views. I was like, wow, I went viral. And now I'll get, like, this one video has 54,000 views, and I'm like, that's a flop. Like, I totally bombed with that one.
Yeah.
And so it's weird to see how the goalpost moves. I bet for, like, Logan Paul, it's like, damn, only 1 million views, Like, it's like a weird process doing all this stuff, and the moving goalpost and the validation from strangers and stuff like that. But it's fun when you let it be fun, when you kind of realize, oh, it doesn't really matter. So, yeah, I guess that's kind of what I can say about it. But let me know if anything wasn't clear there.
No. I completely get it. But I feel like if you're a Gary disciple, you have to be a Gary disciple to the T. I'm sure you watched this video where he says, post something that you feel like will not do well, I feel like there's a lot of times when you can feel like you're at the mercy of the platform. I think it's a mindset game where you shift it. You feel like I created it. I'm the boss. You're going to watch what I want you to see, It's not about pleasing the audience. It's about doing something you actually like, whether it gets numbers, whether it does not. I know not to, compare myself, but I would record these 2-hour podcasts. It would take me 6 hours to edit it. 12 people watch it, okay? And that's what I remember about Gary. He says, don't get caught up in the numbers. What if Obama is your one follower, Or you don't know what one video takes. And I feel like social media is not the objective. It's a means towards something. Tomorrow you might want to start a hat business. And because you had these 54,000 views on a video, it triggered something to actual money or to actual opportunity. The reason you were able to get into 1:37 p.m. Gary is all because of these numbers. And these numbers add up. So I hope you will remember what Gary tells us at those point of times when it gets tough. Will be like, I feel like you're in control, you created it. This did not create you. So you validate it. It does not validate you, if that makes sense.
Great point. You should use that soundbite when you're editing this later, because that's a great quote. And I hope you're on TikTok posting your podcast.
TikTok is banned in India, so we can't use
TikTok. That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah. But you don't post your TikTok videos as Reels? You post them as Instagram videos.
Yeah, well, Reels is 30 seconds, and all my videos tend to be over.
Right, it's a struggle.
Yeah, which sucks, because, like, on YouTube, I have a bunch of, like, now I have almost 30,000 from my TikToks that I reposted, and then on TikTok I have a bunch of, but yeah, none of my videos are 30. I got to make some 30-second clips just so I can get some extra followers on there. But
can you make your TikToks to be 30 seconds themselves so you can use one video at both platforms?
Well, I don't. Usually I just make it and then I'm like, okay, let's see how long it ended up being, and then usually it's like 43 seconds, which is cool. It's like, all right, cool. Like, I'm making viral videos that require more attention, which is always a fun little, some people make a 10-second clip and that goes viral, but if it's like a minute, it's like, oh, that was kind of hard to do, I think. So that part of it's cool, but yeah, it's just, it can be frustrating because I don't know why Instagram, like, why is it 30 seconds? I don't know. I wish it wasn't, but it is. So,
well,
and then what sucks is, like, they're going to make it a month from now, and then I'm going to be like, okay, well, I already posted all my best ones. So I don't know.
I feel like the trick would be just to succumb to the platform in this case and try and make your TikToks also 30 seconds. So with one video, you get 2 shots. Maybe it does not go viral on TikTok, but maybe it goes viral on Reels. So with, like, one stone, you hit 2 birds, like I saw in one of your videos.
Yes, and also you should, if I know it's banned in India, but YouTube Shorts is, like, pretty much the same as TikTok. You just post vertical videos that are under a minute to YouTube, and I had 200 subscribers 2 months ago. Now I have almost 30,000.
Really?
So get on YouTube Shorts. It's like,
wow.
It's like the same as TikTok.
Disappear or do they stay?
They stay. It's like here, let me see. So I go to my channel, and then it's like under videos. It's all like, I don't know, yes.
I've gone through your YouTube.
Yeah, so. And then the only difference is I put hashtag shorts in the description, I don't know
Right.
if you have to do that, but it's worked. So I have some videos with like,
Your YouTube is mostly consisting of these vertical videos, not like
yeah,
YouTube videos.
yeah, I would like to make some more vlog style stuff, but for right now, I'm just trying to stockpile followers from these, and then when I finally make a vlog, they'll be like, "Oh shit, he makes vlogs too, maybe or whatever."
Yeah.
So, because it would be nice to just like kind of like Cody Co style, just talk about stuff and then make a video out of that. If people enjoyed it, we'll see. But for now, I gotta win them over with humor. So
True, I agree. But I want to bring up two people in this context. Is one is Jake and one is BTS. If you will study BTS's journey, they started in 2013 and now they are the biggest boy band in the world, just based to statistics. And the reason they were able to make it big is not because of, how cute they look or how amazing their videos is. That is very short-lived. The reason they grew big was they have this Korean app called V Live where they would record themselves uncut for like 30 minutes to 1 hour just talking their like journey. And you see them in 2013 where they're talking about like, I'm training, I'm wearing like a fake Versace shirt, I'm cold. And now you see them something so unattainable, unachievable, but their fans have grown with them. It's just a
yeah,
long, copious process. And I feel like Jake did the same thing. If you go on his YouTube and look at the super, super like early videos, you see him like recording himself, looking kind of funny, not confident. But you've seen his growth. And I feel like it's a very powerful move to just switch on the camera and just start talking, like, I'm not feeling it.
yeah,
I have to make a video. I'm not creative. And uncut, effortless, and start uploading them. And you'll feel like your big videos get like 30, 50,000 views or even 100,000. These might get 50. But these 50 people or these 100 people who are watching you would be your core people who will die for
yeah.
you.
Yeah, I mean, 50 people, like if I was in front of 50 people in a room, it wouldn't be very easy to talk, So it is something.
And I feel like both of these guys, what I noticed in their journey is was something about doing something every single day, which can be hard to push out a creative video. But if you just record yourself, like Gary says, document versus create. And you just document,
Yeah,
some days are going to be good, some days are going to be trash. Some days you're just going to say hi with your dog, be like, this is the best part of today. And,
yeah,
people will grow with you and you expect yourself to become someone in the coming, years. So let people see
yeah.
this relatable you and so that they can feel like they can do it too, if that makes sense.
I agree. Yeah, no, you're totally right. I've thought about making a video a day. I should. I feel like eventually it'll be like just a week of videos where I'm like, hey guys, I'm in my bed right now, but this is my video for the day. No, I think that's a great way. Also, Beeple, who makes digital art, who sold, Beeple?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, like the $69 million sale, blah, blah. But he was
Yes.
just saying that he started like doing art every day just
Right.
because he wanted to get exponentially better, and he did. So
Yeah. And
that's
that NFTs are also coming, with the emerging market and how you might want to transition into music later. You really don't know how this audience will be such an asset for you, irrespective of where the world is going. Maybe you sell, instead of thinking of getting 1 million views, you might end up making $1 million from 10,000 people. You know what I'm saying? People might want to
yeah,
buy your NFT and they want to preserve it and things like that. So don't underestimate. Numbers don't mean shit. Someone can be making like 15 million views and be getting hardly anything, making hardly any money. Versus someone
yeah,
having 50,000 views, extremely smart with money, extremely smart with, having different income streams. I feel like this audience that you've built and you are building is really, really powerful and will help you transition into all those dreams that you have with the emerging technology.
thank you. Yeah, this is it's become like almost a therapy session, but a much needed.
Stop.
I appreciate it. You're very supportive, and you have good things to say. So don't discredit yourself either about having no creativity or podcasting ability, because you do. So
Thank
right
you, man. That
now,
means a lot. I wanted to ask you, is there something that you would like to ask me?
something I would like to ask you. What is your ultimate goal in life? If you had actually, well,
Yes.
continue. Answer that one. Answer that one.
Okay. I think my ultimate goal in life. So I was I had a really bad experience at school. I was really bullied by my teachers and stuff. And since then, I was like, it's my purpose to, go against the education system, which is very strict in Asia, not just India. Like school is everything. There's no life beyond school. And I dropped out of college, and I wanted to show kids how to build your wealth and your path and your dreams without formal education, but just to pure hard work, and things like that. So that's why I started the podcast. They said, what's the biggest advantage of going to college? It's your network. And I said, I'm going to build my network through the podcast. And I feel like my ultimate goal would be tangibly show the way and leave a blueprint of how to do it right, how to get your dream job, how to live your dream life, how to make money. That's why I'm documenting my process. Like if our meeting today goes well and we might end up doing something tomorrow, this is all documenting. Someone might see how we started off really awkward, but then we hit it off, So one should not feel scared on reaching out to people. And I think my ultimate goal would be to leave that blueprint to show the way to the youth of just India and Asia that you cannot judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree. Human potential is much more than formal education. And if you're a good person, if you work hard, it might take time, but you'll make it. So I feel like that's like my thing.
Okay, second question is, if I were to give you $1 billion right now, would you still do all that?
I feel
you
like
would probably take a week off at least and then go do it.
Yeah, I feel like what would I do with $1 billion? I love cars, so I'm probably gonna buy a really like fast ass car for myself, get a great house, and then do what? I feel like money can only give you access to things. At the end of the day, people want money to feel fulfilled. People want money to feel excited. People want money to feel happy. It's just a means towards something, and if you can. So that's why you're not dependent on it, Maybe you feel fulfilled by helping out a friend, or even though it might sound really cheesy, but I feel like generally, like how Gary says, how many people are going to show up at my funeral? What is the purpose of my life? How am I using it? Is it to spend money on worthless things, or is it to make people happy, to encourage people, to support people, and, get that, like exchange that energy? I feel like. But if I get $1 billion, for sure I'm taking that shit. So,
Okay, cool. I would take a year off maybe, and then I'd go back to it. At least for me, like I could do the YouTube stuff a lot easier with $1 billion. It's like, hey guys, I bought, flamethrower that also shoots watermelons or something. Then it's like, okay. Like you don't have to be creative anymore. You just have to buy things. But
yeah, oh my gosh, that is a big thing. Like very Mr. Beasty thing.
Yeah. Who I appreciate Mr. Beast. I like him, but there is because he didn't have any money at one point. But once you get there, it seems exponentially easier.
I feel he feels does not feel like a YouTube creator anymore. He feels like a very polished personality.
Yeah, it's kind of like, it feels like a game show or like television show it's cool. He can change the format every episode, but yeah, I would agree. It's very polished and like, not as raw as it used to be.
Right. Also, if I would get $1 billion, I would love to travel. I want to, tour Asia, and I want to go to all the places, and I want to learn how to make Korean food and do all sorts of things. So I'm sure even you would love to travel with your dollars.
I would, of course. I would do everything money allows, and then I would.
What would be a dream destination that you want to travel to?
It's funny, I want to go to India. I don't know why. I've always thought India was cool to me. I know nothing about it, but I like the music and stuff. So India would be one. Where else? Maybe Italy. Definitely one of those tropical places in the Caribbean. I don't know where. Oh, Hawaii for sure would be one, and then somewhere in the Caribbean. And then beyond that, I'm not really sure. I'd have to look at France and stuff. Would be cool. Just all the key, all the major destinations.
Do you like art? Painting art?
I actually went to the Van Gogh Interactive Museum a week ago with my parents, and lately I've enjoyed art more because of that, and just I do like looking at paintings and then being it almost feels dreamlike, where I'm whoa, where is this place? But I'm not super knowledgeable, if that makes sense.
Right. I feel it starts very simply, you learn to appreciate art, wow, that color blue looks really nice, and then you dive deep into it, and you find out how people's whole life stories were that art, how
right.
I feel that becomes the beauty of being able to see beyond the surface level of you feel like it's just shades of blue, but then when you actually dive into it, and then you're able to appreciate that there's a texture here, there's a technique here. And I feel like because you like classical music and you like literature and stuff like that, you'll find a lot of happiness in art too.
I'll have to dive deeper in, but yes, I do like right now it's just like look at it and I'm like, whoa, like it looks like some dreamy world that is like I would see in a dream or something, and then I'll like get some sort of like nostalgic feeling from it, and then I'll move on. But yeah, I don't ever do like the historical dive in or like the technique and stuff like that. I should probably give that more of a chance.
I'm going to send you something, you might like it. I'm going to send you a painting. It looks really simple, but when you read the story, you love it. Promise.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Last two questions. One is, what would be your advice for the youth? You know, all of us who are running towards our dreams, scared, not knowing what to do, but, you know, going at it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess kind of just try as much things as you can if you're not like, and figure out what you like and what you want to be good at is probably what I'd say. Don't care what people think about you, at least too much. You know, there's a natural, like, you know, you want your family to like you and you don't want to be a douche, but, you know, don't let people's opinions guide what you're going to do. And save your money, because I am bad at saving my money, and I'm stuck in my parents' house because of it. I'm making money. Like, I'll be able to move out soon, but it'd be a lot easier if I had been saving money my whole life. So save money.
Thanks for that. That was really honest. And
yeah.
The last advice would be, last question would be, would you have any feedback for the podcast? Any way we could have done better or anything?
No, I mean, you do your research, you ask great questions. I would say decide whether or not you want Mona Lisa's face to be in it, because it flashes in and out. There she is. Make the call. But other than that, no, I had a great time. So no feedback beyond that.
Thank you, I really appreciate it. And I want to share with you, you know, not to be biased because you said yes and I'm very grateful, but I genuinely think you're really talented, and I feel like your biggest obstacle would be you yourself. You know, you getting defeated in your mind. And I something I like to remember is something that Will Smith said. He says, "He who thinks he can and he who thinks he can't, both are right." So whether you believe in yourself or whether you don't, you'll be right. I really hope you choose the first part, and I'm looking forward to be like, I knew him before the fame.
Thank you. That's all. First of all, Will Smith said that. Damn, I did not know that he was like a sage like that. That's some cool advice. And second of all, thank you. That's very nice of you, and I appreciate it. And I look forward to saying that your support led me there. So.
Thank you, Val. I really appreciate it. And please allow me to send you like some good Korean music and paintings and stuff on your DM.
Yeah.
And let's please keep in touch. I hope I'm going to try really hard to make it for that 1:37 p.m. thing. I have like a couple of podcasts scheduled with the employees. I'm trying to network and be like, hey guys, get me in. So let's see how that works out.
I'll put in as best a word I can. So
that means a lot. Thank you so much, Sean.
You're welcome.
Have a great rest of the day. Please keep in touch. Please reach out to me if you need anything at all. And I look forward to lots of content from you. Very personalized content too.
And go to bed. It's now 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. What time is it there? It's 2 a.m.
It is, it's 2:30 a.m.
Go to bed. But thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Sean. Look forward to hear from you soon. I'll let you know as soon as this goes live.
Sweet. Okay, cool.
Bye. Thank you.